So 10K a month for me is not where it's at. I think you should strive to get to 10K. 10K is super important, and there's plenty of people that will help you get to 10K. But for me, 10K, it still felt like I was in survival mode because I couldn't afford the equipment. I couldn't afford a really decent team. And so 10K never really worked for me. 20K was I could afford a team and I could afford all my bills and my rent and everything in between, but it also made me stagnant. It made me feel like I didn't want to push any further. I felt like I had all my amenities sorted out. It's a nice place to be, but it doesn't drive you to want to build a business. Now, when I went past 20, that's when I started to get excited because you start to get introduced to a new lifestyle. And so you can afford any gear, you can afford a different apartment, you can upgrade stuff. So you start to taste a different type of life and it becomes more exciting. Your ambition starts to grow. So being stuck at 20K for me was the worst. I mean, it just dulled me. It just made me feel lazy. It just made me feel like I didn't really want to push any further. But once I reached past that, that's when I started to get excited. The passion got reignited. There was more types of quality clients coming in with bigger budgets and bigger they had bigger goals, and so just tapping into that. The other thing I want to talk about as well is like when you attract like really cheap clients, like clients that only pay sort of 5 to 10K, or they're just not really that interested in working, or they're not taking their stories really seriously, it kind of has an effect on you. But what I found when I was working with clients that were doing north of 50 mil, clients that were reaching past $10 million, and you could see they were on a real mission. Like attracts like, energy sort of spreads. There's an old saying, you are the people that you're surrounded by. Like your top 5 people, if you want to know where you're going, take a look at the top 5 people you're surrounded by. Well, I feel like that's got a lot to do with clients as well. When you've got great clients around you that are doing something with their life, that they're actually pushing and they're doing things that are more impactful. It's not just about the money. They've got purpose and they want to tell more stories. They want to get their name out. They want to build a personal brand. They want to actually, create a different. They want to put some buzz. They want to have a feeling wrapped around their logo. That becomes inspiring. That's what I did it for. I find that I get a lot more luckier and at ease and more exciting, and I'm learning from them, they're learning from me, we're sharing ideas, the excitement of being in storytelling when you're around them sort of people, because them visionaries need storytellers. They've got amazing ideas, but they need the storyteller to articulate what is in the mind. They can't get it out, so storyteller comes along and knows exactly how to get it out. So typically speaking, if they have a vision, you're breathing life into that. And so you'll feel when you find that client that's paying you sort of a premium. When you get the right client, what's going to happen is you're going to create an incredible bond with each other, because you're taking the visionary and you're breathing life and you're making it a reality, their vision. And so what I found is when I deliver a brand story that really hit the mark, or told a story that they really needed to tell, that was deep inside them, there would be tears, there would be hugs, there would be a true friendship, there would be, like I've got clients that I've known for 15 years because I've told their story. I've told a powerful story where I've connected not just with their prospects, not just with their brand, not just helped build, but with them internally. I've lit them up inside. There was one coach that I took a shot of him with no shoes, and he was called the Barefoot Coach. I know I had a big impact in that. And was renowned as the coach's coach, big guy. Like he had a lot of, and to this day, he's a very powerful guy. He's helped thousands of coaches across the world. And I think that, part of me taking that shot with him with no shoes on, he was called the Barefoot Coach. And I know he will always have a bond with me because I was one of the very first people that told his story about his situation. There was a personal story behind it. We connected through my son and his son. Both had autism, and I told the story. It wasn't the greatest story in the world in terms of my work up to date now, but he knows that I told that story from the heart. That created a bond with him. That created not only just a message to his prospects, to his current clients, but a message to him internally. And this is the thing we don't realize. We're not only sending messages directly to the market, not only wrapping meaning around the brand and elevating the perceived value, but we're also sending a message to the owner and the owner has an like unbelievable, unshakable confidence when they see their story come together and unites inside their body. It's very powerful, and we can't dismiss that. We can't ignore that. We have to grasp that and understand that these are the things that is what we do. We build confidence. We build the narrative within the brand. You know, one story can set a whole marketing plan off, which is the mission can change. Like the amount of times that I've told a brand story and they've had to rewrite the whole website, they've had to rewrite the whole message, they've had to change their social media strategy just because this one core story has a really big impact on their full messaging. And when we think about it, what we do is we bring clarity, we bring message, we bring story, we bring emotional connection, we bring perceived value, we raise trust. And the thing that storytellers do more than ever is we help shift stuff. We help move the sale. We drive action. We drive revenue. And when we can get our heads out of this sort of human tripod mentality, or this mentality of like thinking in terms of just cameras and stuff like that. No, we're creating stories, we're creating messages, we're wrapping value around, a lot of the time, the invisible. You know, when we think about what we sell pixels and waveforms. We just sell imagery. But it's what goes behind that makes it special. And so becoming a brand story creator is all about messaging, stories, telling powerful stories, and then knowing how to package and deliver that in a certain genre or style that you can have an impact with the brand. Because if you're not creating impact, you can't demand the price. But if you are creating impact, you can ask for anything. When something's so valuable to a brand, money is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. The question of how much does it cost? The amount of times that I've worked with clients that are north of 20, 30, 40 mil, and they've just rang me up and said, Michael, I need a story. I need a brand story. And it's like, okay, cool. And they don't even ask the price. They know it's going to cost anywhere between $30,000 and $100,000. They trust me enough to be able to put it together in a way that they see the value. They know I'm going to work out whereabouts it's going to go in the customer journey cycle or in the journey of their customer, and I will figure it out with them there. One of the stories that I want to tell you about is, you know, a lot of people say to me about COVID. They tell me, oh, you know, everything smashed before COVID. Nobody's got a sadder story than me than COVID, right? I signed a deal for $1.5 million, and it was all set to go. It was $550,000 per month. That's what it was going to be sold at. And then from there, we were going into a contract to $5 million. We wanted to test it out at 1.5 for 3 months worth of content. Now, when COVID hit, all construction stopped. And this was a very, very, very wealthy family that was building a multiple chain of hotels and needed a lot of brand stories, they needed a big team around them. They needed to do high-level content because they were sending it overseas for investors, etc., etc. Now, that whole thing cancelled, right? Now, I had a signed contract and I had literally set up to move to a certain place in Australia. I was looking at buying certain cameras. I was in the mix of like assembling a whole crew. I was so excited for this project. It was actually quite a life-changing project, but by the time you take your tax out and everything else within Australia, it's not really that big. But it was exciting about the actual project of where it was going. And then it was going into a $5 million contract, okay? I lost the whole thing. But the reason why I didn't get upset or I didn't grumble or I didn't feel like any pain around it was because I knew I was a brand story creator. I knew that I could just go and I had what they wanted. Storytelling is evergreen. It will never die.